Hello and welcome to Newsday on the BBC. I'm Rico Hizon in Singapore.
And Babita Sharma in London. The headlines. March marks a black month in Syria. The human cost of the war soars to its highest level. Activists say more than 6,000 people were killed. French and Malian troops go on the attack in Timbuktu to once again drive out Islamist fighters.
The city is pretty much cordoned off and most residents are staying in their homes, fearing for renewed fighting downtown.
More explosions rock China's mining industry as rescuers continue the long search for those lost in the Tibetan landslide. And the surprising effect of global warming will explain why it's helping ice caps in Antarctica grow in size. Good morning from Singapore. It's 6 a.m. here.
Good evening from London. It's 11 p.m. here. We're broadcasting to viewers around the world. It's Newsday. Hello there and welcome again. A Syrian activist group says at least 6,000 people died in Syria last month, more than at any other time since the uprising began 2 years ago. It says a third of those killed were civilians. The group, the anti-government Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, based in Britain, records abuses on both sides of the conflict. It believes the number of dead is a lot higher than it has been able to document. So the human cost of the war is thought to be at least 6,000 last month. And of those killed, some 600 were thought to be women and children. And there were casualties on both sides of the conflict. Just under 3,000 government troops and rebel fighters were killed last month. Well, let's get the very latest on this. To try and unpick these figures, I'm joined by Matis Suhail from the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights and Hadya Alalawi from the BBC's Arabic service. Both of you, thank you very much for being here. Matas, let me begin with you. These are shocking figures that your group has been able to get hold of. You document casualties, fatalities on both sides of this conflict, but just talk us through how you were able to gain access to get these figures together.
Okay. To begin, we have more than 230 activists on the ground in Syria who are across all provinces and include doctors, nurses, activists, people in political parties, and as well as people in military hospitals. They document and verify all the reports they give up to us, and we only bring out or give out the information that has been corroborated from more than 2 sources. That includes name and picture or video of death. There are no doubles. We don't report rumors or things we are not sure of. We imagine that the number of dead is more than double the amount that we have verified, which is 62,554. But we only give out the information that we are sure of. OK, well,
we just broke down the figures in our introduction to you, saying that 6,000 you understand to have been killed last month. Indeed. Both sides of the conflict, some 3,000 government troops and rebels as well, 600 thought to be women and children. I mean, out of all of the figures that you've managed to put together, which is the most shocking to you?
Well, the statistics of last month, Bloody March, is the most harrowing we've had since the beginning of the uprising 2 years ago. The number of dead in 1 month alone last month is equal to more than 9 months of casualties at the beginning of the Syrian uprising. That's the entirety of 2011. And we see this with the escalation and the stalemate that comes across from the deterioration of the uprising into a bloody civil war.
Well, it is that bloody civil war that we have been reporting on daily, week after week, month after month, Hadya. I mean, you know, we were talking about this in the news, and our editor made a valid point saying, you know, before we were talking about this spreading to Damascus, and people were saying, you know, be on your guard here. It's gone beyond that now, hasn't it?
Yes.
So, you know, paint a picture for us if you can. I know you're getting lots of reports from people on the ground there in Syria. What life is like for them now.
Life is very difficult, let me tell you, in Damascus especially. Damascus, because it's the capital, it was sort of always kept sort of safe from what's going on, if I can say that. But now things are changing. Damascus is no longer safe. There is no safe area in Damascus per se. People are moving from one area to the other because they're scared of missiles, they're scared of attacks, they're scared of being kidnapped. People are scared to go to their schools, students. A lot of students are not going to universities anymore. Even people on the ground, they're not going to work anymore. They're not going to their offices because, say for example, their office is in a dangerous area. So life is definitely very difficult for people in Syria.
But also, of course, we're talking about a situation here where, you know, it is a war zone. There are some real hotspots of conflict and combat action taking place. But there is an issue regarding the infrastructure of Syria as well, isn't there, where water, electricity, the access to just basic daily goods is becoming an issue for people, where that is making it unlivable too.
It has indeed. For example, 2 days ago, the electricity was gone in Damascus and the suburbs of Damascus for the whole day, which obviously causes a great problem, especially that it's, you know, close to summertime now in Damascus. The other thing is the prices of fuel and food and like daily basic needs for people, that's gone up as well to the double. So bearing that in mind, people who actually are on minimum wage are suffering to go through the daily needs, to buy the daily needs and get them.
What do we do with figures like this then? I remember us talking about January being the bloodiest month of the conflict so far. Now we're looking at March. Who knows what's going to lie ahead? What are you calling for as an opposition group who have got these figures?
As a human rights organisation that takes the lives of Syrian citizens as its priority, we see the only viable solution is that all governments, all Western states, abide and push for the Al-Akhdar al-Brahimi solution, which is the UN peace plan pushed forward, and to abide by the Geneva Agreement agreed in last June, which could be the road plan for a ceasefire, the end to the freedom for political detainees, and the beginning of a transitionary government that would see the end to the conflict.
Do you know, we could talk about this for hours, but I'm afraid we've run out of time. But to both of you, thank you so much for being here. Thank you
for having us.
Now to the conflict in Mali, which is far from over. Over the weekend, there was fierce fighting in Timbuktu between Islamist